And tonight's speaker is David H. He comes to us from the 12-Step Titans group. He just celebrated 6 years. He brings so much laughter to my life, but I have also been able to show up to situations as a better person because of his presence in my life, because the principles of the program have really seeped into who he is. So here is David, if he's paying attention.
Wow. Thanks, Alex. Phenomenal introduction. I wasn't sure who you were talking about. I'm David Hubbard, and I am an alcoholic. Those 4 words today mean so much to me because I take pride in being an alcoholic today. My sobriety date, January 15th, 2020. Just kind of how it was, I'm from Atlanta, only child, and I think I was an alcoholic before I took my first drink. Black sheep, if anything got taken, broken, whatever, I did it, regardless of if I was in the vicinity or not. I've never been comfortable in my own skin, just always been an odd duck. I remember, in first grade, I'm towering over all the other kids. It's crazy. I have pictures, I'm this and there, everybody else's, I guess, normal size. Upbringing, single parent, home, grandmother, helped raise me, got aunts and uncles, had a pretty decent, family nucleus. So nothing really out of the ordinary in my childhood to complain about. My father wasn't there. I probably met him 9 times in 42 years. That would play out later on in my life because I had my first drink at 14, started out with another extracurricular activity of the burning variety. I quickly realized that was not for me. The paranoia and not being in control of your body, I didn't like that. That first drink of alcohol brought a calm and a very much warm feeling that I was like, I'm gonna feel like this way. I always want to feel this way. And started on natty light. Right.
That's what's wrong.
Yeah. I dropped on my head a couple times too, but natty ice didn't help. So that combined it with by this time my mom had gotten married and I loved my stepdad to the point where I didn't get along with him, and one of us was going to have to go because, like I said, I was an alcoholic before my first drink, and everything was about me. If it didn't satisfy David, then it didn't work, and that was blatantly obvious, during that time. I'm, 14, and just taking off, my drinking career had just taken off. Fast forward to me getting my license. Now I'm I look 21. So in the small town that I was moved to, one day something just told me, stop at this gas station and see if you can buy alcohol. And I got away with my first, 2 Ice House Deuces. And I was like, heck yeah. That was my drink at that point. I was 16, wasn't legally able to buy it, but that quickly, you give me an inch, I'm gonna take a mile. So I went from 2 deuces to going in literally buying cases, and it got to the point where the guy knew me when I walked in, our truck hadn't come in, it's Tuesday, whatever. That just put a battery on my back, oh hell yeah, I can drink. I know where to buy it, and cool. Enter high school, and I remember going to my grandmother's house the day before, and she's not an alcoholic, but I dipped into her closet. She had a bottle of Absolute. I snuck it out, emptied a NyQuil bottle. Put the Absolute in there. She's in Atlanta. We driving down 20. I got it tucked, because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna feel good at school tomorrow, But that was the longest ride because, I'm riding passenger and I got it. I'm like, there's nothing worse than knowing you can get your fix, but you can't get your fix. You know what I mean? And at, freshman in high school, I'm having this gut-wrenching feeling like, I know I can get it, but I can't get it. So needless to say, that was the longest ride back down to the house. First day of school starts. I got my Sprite bottle with my Absolute in it. I'm floating down the hallway. But my first real kind of glimpse into that, it was already a problem in my freshman year was, I'll never forget, my science teacher, Mr. Burge. I don't know if I had my head down. I don't know. I was kind of leaning and nodding out or whatever, but he says, Al. And I'm like, my name ain't Al. Kaholic. First day of school. And I was like, okay, And with that, it still didn't hit. Graduated high school, I don't know, by the grace of God and flirting with pretty girls that were smarter than me. I got through high school. I was a fifth year senior, like I had to go to summer school, whatever. That happened, but I graduated because in my mom's house, it's like you're not a dummy. I didn't raise no dummy. You might be lazy, but I don't care what you do after high school. You're going to get a diploma. You're going to get a high school diploma. Anything above and beyond that, whatever. So graduated by the skin of my teeth, and I'm in this town, man, and now I don't have anything. Now no distraction. My mom, she works in Marietta, so she leaves before day in the morning. So I got the house, to myself. I turned 21. Now I can buy it legally. I'm working odd jobs, going nowhere fast. Like my group of friends were just like me. They drunk. Like I didn't have friends that had drinking pop. If I didn't have it, they had it, and it was vice versa. Like we did some wild things to get, alcohol. Second indication that I was an alcoholic, I got a job at Circuit City. I was, ended up getting a job in the warehouse, and PlayStation 2s had just came out. And I get it. I'm not really a gamer, but at that time it felt good to say I got a PlayStation 2. Like that's a brag, a flex. And money had got tight, so what do? You pawn the brand new PlayStation 2, right? So got $25 for it. Brand new, that's a couple $100. And, my first thing is, hell yeah, I'm finna go to, buy my, so I got that PlayStation 2 translated into a 12-pack of Heineken. And I never met a Heineken that I didn't like. So, but that was indication number 2 that this thing is like bigger than me, but still, it didn't matter because I was drunk, and that's all that mattered at the time. Got into a car accident where I got ejected out of the car. First layer of skin was taken out. I lost the first four teeth came out. The only thing I remember was looking in the car, not feeling my teeth, and I'm like. And it was my mom's car, so I got up, and I'm like, my mom's gonna kill me. Like I didn't think about the blood clot that I had in my brain. So I got lifelong to Northside Hospital, and I had to stay for 3 days to let the blood clot subside. And I remember 3 commercials. It was 2 Army commercials and a Marine commercial. And the day that I got back to my mom's house, there were 2 visitors. The first one was the Newton County Sheriff. Y'all know the story, so the Newton County Sheriff brings me my citations, one being a DUI, and I was so out of it, I don't remember. I didn't blow, obviously, but they took blood, and they got it that way. And the next one was a Army recruiter, right? That he was at the wrong house, but I took that as a sign. Like, I got to get out of Covington because I'm not doing anything. Like, all I'm doing is drinking all day, and wasting my life away. So I went to the recruiter. The Army was like, I was like, nah, I'm good on y'all. I'm not smart. I wasn't smart enough to join the Air Force. I don't like water enough to join the Navy. So I joined the Marines. That was my way out. Like, it was going to be a geographical change, and the world was, my oyster at that point. But wherever I am, there I go. Wherever I go, there I am. However that goes. So got out of boot camp, got back home, and got stationed in California. Needless to say, my life was going so great. I didn't have a license at the time. So I'm in California driving my young Marines vehicles, down to San Diego or Tijuana, or, wherever I wanted to go. Didn't get in any trouble by the grace of God and the lovely highway patrol that was never on. I did, 2 tours in Iraq, served 12 years. I don't know how, but didn't get any trouble in the service. I didn't start getting in trouble until I became a civilian. And, first DUI was in Cobb County. All my legal troubles was in Cobb County. That's how smart I am. Count on being busted. The lovely people in Cobb County, and it had taken off. Like, I'm really just bouncing off of life. I was smart enough to find a hostage that made considerably more than I did. So any kind of legal trouble, it was just, I bat my eyes, say a couple of nice things, and I'm out of that situation. Needless to say, like, by the third DUI, it was time. I got the inevitable ultimatum: it's either me or the bottle. And I'll never forget this day. I'm standing in the bathroom, got my gallon in my hand, and I'm looking, and I'm making life decisions like, my best friend, you, my best friend, the one who's always here, whatever I need, you got me. Like, you don't talk back, you're dependable, you take my crap, you don't make me try to do better than I'm doing, So I reluctantly and out of my mind drunk went to my first meeting, which was at Triangle. And I don't know how many people here have been to Triangle, but my favorite place, you got to pass it before you get to Triangle. Y'all know, so I don't have to. But all I saw was Tower liquor. Yeah, man. I don't care what y'all been talking about in there. I ain't got no more at the house, so I'm in here. Like, I sat down, did the preliminary stuff, but my focus, I couldn't tell you what anybody said in that meeting, because my focus was. So I snuck out and then got my vodka, stuffed it in the trunk, went back in the meeting. I'm attentive because I still don't care what y'all talking about. I got what I need, and so I'm finna go home and get right. And y'all can't drink, wham, boo-hoo. I'm finna get out of here. That pattern continued. But the compromise was, you go in this thing, you learn how to. I thought I was just gonna learn how to drink and not have any consequences. So I was like, all right, cool. So my first sponsor was 19. I'm like not 19 at this point. Like I'm in my mid-20s, and I'm looking at this young man like, bro, I've forgotten more than you learned. How you gonna tell me about drinking, bro? Nah. So needless to say, the group that I became a part, my first home group. Well, my first home group, I did 30, 60, 90 day, the 90-day dance until I heard, oh, David, you're doing great. I think you can start back drinking again. Yes. And in that, the compromise was I could drink a 6-pack of Heineken a weekend. Okay. I presented the 6-pack of Heineken. It was in the refrigerator. But needless to say, I had stash spots throughout the house. I'm still at it. And by this point, I wasn't drinking, for any other reason than to maintain my buzz. I didn't have to go to a bar to be drunk. I didn't have to go to a celebration to be drunk. At this point, I didn't even go to family functions because I was smart enough to know that when I started drinking, I didn't know which one of my personalities was going to show up. So my best thinking was, I can just drink at home. Ain't nobody going to be looking at me like, David, that's just 7 drinks. How many more shots you going to take? And that's, when I came around, like my grandmother, it was like just that disappointing look in her eye. It's like, damn, baby. But that hurt, but it didn't stop me from drinking. If anything, it gave me more ammunition to drink more because, hell, you already mad at me. Might as well drink at you. I'm not hurting. I ain't hurting nobody. Y'all got a problem with me. I ain't hurting nobody. And that was my life. I played the victim role perfectly. Like life was happening to me to the point where like I got fired from jobs because I was supposed to be to work at 8. I get to work at 10:15. Still go to lunch at noon. Leave at 3:15. You write me up for what? I'm a outstanding employee, like, what am I getting written up for? I was getting written up because the manager didn't like me. When I finally get fired, that's the first phone call. Man, you ain't gonna believe it happened to me today. My manager tripping, because I'm a victim. Fast forward to 2020. At this point, the relationship, we can't stand each other. I don't want to go home. Whenever I'm at home, I'm not there. Like, I'm physically there, but nobody's home. It was such a codependent relationship that, like, we were too stubborn to end it. Got fed up and just was like, I'm over. It's over. And hearing it was over, that was like a weight lifted off my chest. I don't like you anyway. I can now really go drink how I want to drink without any distraction. But at this point, I had entered the gates of hell. I was a shell of a person. I was depressed. I was suicidal. I was waking up every morning just not living. I was living the same chocolate screw Groundhog Day every day. Like, it's just a pathetic way of life. I had enough exposure to these rooms that, like, I picked the phone up, I called somebody, and he was like, all right, just meet me at Nava. Okay. I came. This was January, so the pandemic hadn't really taken off, but I was coming to meetings. I was at a meeting every night of the week. Like, I was doing 7 days a week. I was here. Nava had become my second home. That's why, like, telling my story is like full circle for me tonight, because I remember many nights in this chair, many nights standing talking after the meeting and going to IHOP. Fast forward to March of 2020, I'm going to meetings. There was this one particular meeting. It was a Tuesday night beginners meeting. It was a guy. He didn't say much, but when he spoke, I listened. Like, whatever he was saying was meant for me to hear. So After, peeping him out for like 3 months, I walked up to him and I asked him to be my sponsor. And he said yes. We exchanged numbers and he said, call me every day. And for that first year, I called him every day. I'm not going to lie, I did what some sponsees do. I got his number and I would look at the clock. Because he didn't give me a time to call him. He was like, call me every day. So, of course, I'm going to push the issue, So it'd be 9 a.m. I was like, it's too early. It'd be noon. Now he's busy. He don't want to talk to me. 6:30 p.m. Now it's too late. I don't want to bother him. So I didn't call him. He sees me in the meeting. What happened? Well, all right, I'm going to call you. So, I finally started calling. It was, just like in the meeting, he was a man of few words. It was like, hey, this David calling, checking in. All right. Call me tomorrow. Okay. Well, little did I know, he was setting me up to be comfortable calling him when life started happening. In my first year of sobriety, I was almost homeless. I couldn't keep a job. I'm just all over the place. So I'm needing him to guide me, and it became more comfortable to call him. And he allowed me. I really don't know what I was expecting my life to be when I stopped drinking. I was scared. I was like, because I don't know. I'm not gonna drink. I can never drink. Never, for real, the rest of my life is a long time. And I don't, and I can't drink. That concept was foreign to me. I came in here, I followed my sponsor's lead. And I started working the steps. I came to believe. I asked God. I couldn't, he can, so I'm gonna let him, basically. So that was okay. My religion, I'm Southern Baptist, so I know God, I know church. I put it that way. So in the third step, another turning point for me was I had a conception of my grandmother's God. It was hell and brimstone. I was going to hell at 7. Because thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. And I was doing all that. So it was there was no way. Yeah. I was going to bust it open by that time. But in that step, he asked me, what is your characteristics of a friend? And I put loving, understanding, sense of humor, and 2 other things. And in that moment, he was like, well, you just redefined your God. That was my, I was like, oh, okay. That's it. Because I thought I was, then we got on our knees and said the third step prayer. But that was it. And I had to go home for an hour or no? No. Okay. I'm still learning. Now, I have been a liar my whole life. And lie is a strong word, but I embellished a lot, to the point where at one point, I was telling people that I had traveled all 50 states, even though I had just been to Florida, California, and I would just lie because my mouth was moving, basically. It didn't really. I didn't need a rhyme or reason to lie. By this time, I'm working with my sponsor. We're going to meetings, more than that, but we're going to log cabin, Tucker Turtles. He's getting me involved, and I don't know. My life is changing, and I don't even know it. People are seeing, when they say, people around you will see the change before you do, that is 1,000% accurate. To the point where, I had a family function. I was not going to go. I really didn't want to go. But I went and locked eyes with my grandmother, and but again, people see the change before you do. So she pulls me baby, I'm so proud of you. Those little meetings you going to, I don't know what they doing in there, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. head exploded. I'm like, okay, cool. Something's working. Like grandma, I got this stamp of approval from grandma. So, I was like, all right, cool. And at the flip side is my only reservation to drink was when my grandmother passed. Like, I was like, oh, that's going to be, hold on to this one. Like, no matter what, when she goes, that'll be my out. Cause I was still looking for an out. Like, I believe, but it was still like, I gotta have an out because not drinking the rest of my life, no way. So that'll be my one. Working the 4th step, I was ready to be honest. I was asked, how I was told rather, you're only as sick as your darkest secret. And I had some doozies. I had some stuff that me, Paul, and God was going to talk about. Like I was taking it with me, because like, nah, I'll let you in, but I'm not going to let you all the way in. And luckily, by the time I got to the 4th step, I was ready. Like I was chomping at the bit because I wanted to let all that crap go. Like I wasn't scared of it anymore. I had dealt with it. Let me put it on this paper, talk to this man about it, and free myself from myself. So I'm writing, and then the arrogant me was like, this a killer. Put down the craziest, darkest, so he won't want to talk to you again. Literally, I know, like, I was really digging deep to get all that extra, 20, all that. So I sit down with my sponsor. We're going, and he just kind of sitting there like with a stone face, like, ain't really reacting. So I'm like, is he hearing me? And, needless to say, my plan didn't work. He was just like, all right, that's all you got. Then we got to the sex inventory. I was on the fear, because I knew if the fear list didn't get him, the sex inventory was gone. Let me get away. We grew closer that day. I didn't know it until later on. My sponsor and I today are very, very much alike. That's my brother today. That's still my sponsor. Don't get it twisted. Like that's still, but we are friends today. You know what I mean? But did the 4th step, 5th step, let it go. Then he tells me to go home for an hour. Think about it. That was the most peaceful hour of my life. Like my head was clear. I didn't have all of that just David Corey Hubbard-ness on me. Like I had truly like given it up. And I didn't know that, as I was in the process of doing that, but that was one of the most freeing exercises that I had experienced. 6th step, 7th, inventory. Then it got to the making amends. That the list was already written. It was just, actually factually going to make these amends to the people that I had hurt. And I was ready, but I wasn't. I could give it up, but I couldn't. It was like, I don't want to do this, Bobby. He's like, I don't give a shit. What you want to do? Yes, sir. Yeah. So, family was easy. It was more, I'm apologizing for not coming to functions. I wasn't in there tearing it up, like, being disrespectful, fighting. I'm sorry I missed your 50th birthday. I'm sorry I wasn't at Christmas Day. Like, it was, so family was easy. All right, David, do what you know you're supposed to do. When it came down to my ex, that one was I didn't want to really let that one go because I only did this because you did this to me. I still had that. Had you not said this, I wouldn't have said that. Like I was like, you don't understand. 10 years together. It's a lot of crap that go with that. And again, I had to ask myself, like, I was asked, how free do I really want to be? And what was my part in it? What was my part in it? I didn't have a part in it. You know, I was reacting, like, nah. So, needless to say, after praying about it, talking to my network about it, we broke up, but the phone bill was still paid. So that was still my way to get back, like, you know. And, you know, I had a buddy who was like, if you really want to be free from this, return the phone. I was like, return the phone? Whoa. I'll return the phone. What's the iPhone? I'm good. Like, but you can either take a sharp knife, or you can, you know, a dull butter knife, and you want a clean, free break, or do you still want to, you know, re-enter crazy town? And I had to really sit back and think about that, because I still thrive on craziness today. Like, even without a ball, like, I still thrive on chaos. I don't chew on as much as I used to. Like, I really used to just be like, the crazier it is, the better. You know what I mean? I remember, you know, one day my brain was just going. Like, it wouldn't stop. It wouldn't shut up. And I didn't want to drink because the obsession had been lifted. So it wasn't like, let me numb this. But I'm having thought after thought after thought after thought. And so I called my sponsor. I was like, Bobby, I'm losing my mind. Like, what is going on? And he was like, those are emotions. But I had been numb since 14. And I was like, emotions? What? You know, like, forgetting emotions. Like, if this was feeling like, I go back to drinking, because this is what normal people deal with on a regular basis. I don't like this. But, you know, he just told me to be in it. Because you can't go around it. You got to go through it. My life started getting better. Like, I had, like, my brain really quieted. Was it quiet? Tonight I'm tripping. But I called him. I'm like, Bobby, I'm at peace. And he was like, he could tell something else was coming behind that. He was like, well, why don't you feel comfortable? Because I'm like, I'm waiting on the other shoe to drop. He's like, why did it have to drop? Because it's supposed to. Like, I'm not entitled peace. You know what I mean? Like, I got to have my chaos. But I was like, okay. And, you know, the peace had come in my life. Work got to the 12th step. The program really came to fruition for me when I started working with other alcoholics. So by this point, I got like a year and a half. And, you know, life is going good. I'm still, you know, doing service work. And still really like my life had taken off. And I forgot that I'm still crazy. So I'll never forget my first, you know, sponsee. You know, he's 17 days in, and he's just like, David, I'm not drinking no more. All right, cool. I'm finna get my girl back. I'm finna go back to school. I'm finna be in the gym. My mama talking to me again. Life is great. Like, how much time you got? Because that wasn't me at 17. I was 17, and I'm miserable. I don't want to do this. I need a drink. That reminded me, like, David is still here. Like, I'm still in my head about things. One of my greatest achievements, I'll say, is getting my first guy through the 12 steps and seeing the light come on in somebody else's eyes. Seeing, you know, asking the questions like, David, you know, when you in this situation, what do you do? Like, giving back to somebody what was freely given to me. Like, when I came in here, man, people were pouring into me and didn't want anything from me. And that was so foreign to me because all my friends were just, you know, business transactions. You know, like, as soon as I get what I need from you, you can kick rocks. Like, I don't really need that. Or if you stayed around me, I'm looking at you like, you're around me for what? Like you want something. Like I need to know what you want. But I quickly found in these rooms, people only want the best for you. There's no strings attached. My people love me until I can learn how to love myself. Today, I have a family that I chose. Like this first row, second row. I know people in these rooms. Like my name, when they hear David, other than that tall, lanky, goofy muff, if he say he's gonna be somewhere, he's gonna be somewhere. If he can help, he is gonna help. Because I'm pouring back into people, and people, believe it or not, 6 years later, people are still pouring into me. Because just because I'm not drinking, don't mean I'm not having problems. Today it's in the financial realm. I put the plug in the jug, but David still shows up when that money is involved. If David got $1,500, I'm spending 16, and my rent ain't paid. That's real. I'm going through that right now, but I'm just genuinely grateful for all of y'all. I don't like you, but no. I'm genuinely grateful for NABA because January 15th, 2020, when I decided to surrender, it was hard. I didn't like it at first, but I stayed the course with the help of God, my sponsor Bobby, my sponsor brother, everybody in here does. I'm just so grateful, man, because luckily I didn't get what I deserved, and God is continuing to work in my life. I just can't say it enough. This program and the people in these rooms, man, they tremendous, help because I'm just so grateful. If you're sitting in this room tonight, 30, 60, 90, hell, under a year, and you still don't believe you're an addict or an alcoholic, where are you sitting on Monday, 8 p.m.? You might be an alcoholic.
Thank you, David.
First I slept and then I crept to a hope-filled dream. You rescued me and finally waking there I see. I look into love's window for a soul that's meant for me. Takes me where the promises all is. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slow, we get just what we need. On a broad highway, stride for stride, we walk eternally. I look into love's window for a heart that beats for me. Takes me where the promises are real. the voluntary.